Hello everyone, it's Quick Flash, and today I've got a video about something that I'm actually really excited about. So a while ago you may have heard me talking about cinematic set point, and today I've come up with something that I think will completely blow that out of the water. So this I'm calling here is stick feels. And this code I haven't flown it yet because I'm still developing it, and I'm making this video to help explain my whole thought process behind this and to get feedback from everyone else to help come up with better ways to accomplish what I want to do. So the stick feels thing is basically meant to be some code to just change your RC command, which will then change your set point, which will change your stick feel. So to change your RC command in order to change your stick feel. And the way that I'm attempting to do that is with some fake pids here. I say fake because they're not quite really doing what they're supposed to do. I mean, some of them are kind of doing what they're supposed to do. Now anyway, so I'll just run through all the code here, kind of explain what's going on. So here I'm just calling out everything, creating all the variables I'll need. I'm going to need to see what the last RC command is that came through, which will be, the RC command that gets sent in. Oh, I didn't put that in the code anyway. So this is why I need to do things like last RC command equals RC command. Brilliant. So now I've done that. Anyways, so what this code does is it takes this fake p term, which really all that this is a percentage. So if you put, say, 50 for your p term low and 50 for your p term high, let's just keep the p low and p high the same for now. If you keep them both at 50, then as you can see, this sets your RC command equal to that p term, which if you look at the math here, just forget that RC command percent stuff, just RC command times 50. That'll give you half of your RC command. So whatever stick position you're at, the p term will become half of it. Now you may be wondering, that doesn't make much sense, and what's this p term low, p term high? Okay, I'll explain p term low, p term high really quick. So what this whole percent thing is the RC command. It scales from -50, -500 to +500. This right here just turns that value into a -1 to 1, and that gets stuck in here. And so, yeah, is this math even going to work? If this is a -1, gotta change this too. You see, this is exactly what coding is all about. Finding your mistakes and fixing them. Let's just do that. Okay. So now that'll actually work. That'll scale it from 0 to 1. So what that'll do is as you move your stick all the way out, this value here, this RC command percent will get really... I did it in there. I didn't need to do this. It's all good, it's all good. I'll keep it this way. You know what, this will be better on the CPU. This way is better. Let me fix this. Sorry for everyone that's watching that doesn't find this entertaining. But hopefully you'll really like this stick pids that I've thought of. Anyways, so to get back to what I was saying, now that I've made the code a little bit better, which, you know, things like this are exactly why I want you guys to review this, because this is a feature that I really think could be the future for stick feel and really be a major feature. So I want to make sure it gets done right. And I just quickly submitted this pull request, quickly submitted this code just because I don't think it's finished and I want more input on this. And I figure if I submit it as is now, I can get more of that input. So go back to here. So we have p term low, p term high. What this will do is when your stick is near the center, you'll be having more of your p term low value. As your stick reaches the end of its travel, you'll be doing your p term high value. So if you set p term high, well, p low to 50 and p high to 50, then your RC command will be 50% what it's supposed to be. Now you may be asking, that doesn't make any sense. Well, here's where the I term comes in. So this really isn't a real I term, just like this isn't really a real P term, but the way that it will act will kind of act like a P term, kind of act like an I term. So when you're flying, when you're using a PID controller, a P term is really like a push, like it pushes you to a certain amount. The thing is that push will never quite get you to your set point. So if you want to be spinning your quad at 300 degrees per second, your P term will never quite get you to reach 300 degrees per second. That's where I term comes in and will slowly go from, say, 280 degrees per second. It'll slowly be able to push you the rest of the way to 300. And that's the same idea with this I term value here, is it's that last little push. Whereas your P term is that initial push to get you to 50% of your RC command, whereas your I term is that more of an I term push. So these are kind of acting in a similar way to PI and D. However, they are not quite like that. So the D term kind of acts like a D term because it just opposes any change, which is what our D term does. It opposes change to gyro. And this opposes change to the RC command. Now, how this, yes, that's what the P term does, is it creates a percentage of the RC command, puts it in here. Now the I term then looks at that error created right here, RC command error. It looks at this and it goes, okay, the RC command minus the P term, so that would give you that 20%. So the bigger the error is, the more the I term will pop in here. And then the I term is also acting like a percent, so you can do a value from 0 to 95, and basically it will get you, if you set this for low and high, I didn't type in high here, there's another mistake. Anyways, it's good that I'm reviewing it. But you get this I term low and I term high. If they're both set to, say, 20, then every time your RC command updates, every time this code is run, it will push the error to be 20% smaller. You see here it takes the error and multiplies it by your I term value, which is a percentage, so that would be, say, 20%, your error times 20%, and then adds it to the RC command. So you have low and high. The low and high is basically low is near center stick, high is near end stick. So you can make the sticks feel different. If you set, for example, your P high to 100, then on full stick deflection, your I term won't do anything because your error will be 0, and you know, your stick will act like normal towards the end of its stick. And the thing is, your P term, the valid P term values are between 50 and 150, just because you can have it boost if it's above 100 or shrink if it's below. So if it boosts, then the I term will actually be what comes in here and tries to shrink it down to your actual RC command value. So if you run this above 100 for a short time, you can boost the set point, giving a sharper feel. Depending on where you want that in the stick, you can set P term low to be a smaller number and P term high to be higher, or vice versa to make the center feel softer and the end of the stick feel sharper. It's really up to you. And then, yeah, D term, it fights any change in the RC command. So it looks at the change in RC command, and then it gets added to the RC command. So if the RC command is changing, this value will say how much am I going to let it change. How much am I going to let the RC command change from last time? That's what the D term is doing, is how much change is it allowing from the last time this loop went through to the current time. So this means if you quickly bang your stick, this will limit how much change your RC command can have for each loop. And this is cumulative, so if it prevented your change, say 90%, then the next loop that comes through, your RC command, your previous RC command, or the last RC command, this here, will be, you know, the value that this is. So it's cumulative. It's not just the fresh RC command comes in here and becomes the last, but it uses the actual last one after it's been messed with by all these new PID values, these fake PID values. So this means if you set this to 95 or something really high, it'll really oppose any change. If you set this to something lower, like say 20 or 30, then you do a quick stick bang and it'll kind of smooth out that quick movement as it fights instantaneous change. And so really the whole point of doing this is to allow you to customize your stick feel in a way that decouples it from PIDs. Because currently, if you want to mess with stick feel, you're usually messing with your PIDs or your filters or something else, trying to get a really good stick feel while still having good prop wash handling and good flying quad. Now this is meant to completely change that. Add some settings to allow you to completely customize your stick feel while not messing with your PIDs at all. And something that I think is really good about that is, you know, the fact that I know some pilots that are more freestyle guys and they don't like having feed forward. They don't like that instantaneous kick to their stick feel. They're just not a fan of it. But they do like the rates. If they were to change their rates, they wouldn't like it. And some people say, oh, you must not like your rates because, you know, your gyro isn't following set points super tightly. Well, people like that stick feel. They like that bit of delay, that bit of lagged feeling. And part of that lagged, it's not really a lagged feeling so much as, you know, I can bang the stick and it doesn't instantly reach my set point, but it kind of smoothly transitions to it. Whereas if you follow set point exactly, it'll be a more abrupt, rough entry to that, which can still be smooth and can still fly really well, but some people don't prefer it that way. So if you want a sharper stick feel, you can set this up to be above 100, and it'll temporarily stick your RC command higher than what it's supposed to be, and then your I term can bring that back down and your D term will still oppose the change. So you can look at this D term low and D term high as basically, you know, how much change in, like, if I bang the stick, how sharp do I want it to feel? The more D term I add here, the less sharp it will feel as I bang the stick. So if I want it to feel really smooth whenever I bang the stick, that's what I'll add. And then think of these P term values as a kind of, you kind of have to couple P term and I term together, because if you run a P term that's not anything but 100 for P term, and you're not running any I term at all, your I term's at 0, then you're really just changing your rates, because your rates would just be higher or lower than they should be. Now, yeah, so this should, you should have some I term with P term. Otherwise, yeah, like I said, you're just growing or shrinking your rates. Now, if you have P term set lower than 100, then your I term will more slowly bring you up to that stick value. So you can think of I term as kind of how quick you want to reach your stick position. So your P term is kind of how much of a boost or shrink in the stick feel you want, like more smooth or less smooth kind of, and then I term is kind of how quickly it does the transition. So if your I term is set, at say 95, then it'll take, very few iterations of this before your RC command is actually displaying what the RC command is and not some changed RC command. If, it's set lower, it'll take longer. So if you have a P term low at say 50 and an I term low of say 10, then you could bang your stick. You've got your stick from 0 to full, but now your I term low has to keep looping through this code. Every time it loops through, it adds a little bit more to the RC command, makes it a bit larger, and it brings it up. It's more of a smooth way of getting to your current command. And then the D term just fights any change in the command. So think of D term as sharp movements, and I term as slightly more long-term movements. D term's that instant sharp, I term's a more over time. It'll get you there. And so if you boost past 100, then your I term will be what brings you back to your original stick feel, your original set point, and that P term will be what boosts it. So I guess what I'm kind of trying to get at here is this code, and I can show you the defaults. The defaults are, as you can see, we have this code here, and how it works is that first value is P low, P high, I low, I high, D low, and D high. So by default, it doesn't do anything. It's set up to not change your stick feel at all. However, as soon as you set your P low or P high anything but 100, and your D low and D high anything but 0, then the code will start running. And you can run, if you want, only D term, only the D low and D high, and just go with that, and it'll just help smooth out any of those sharp movements that you might have. And just remember, D low is near center stick and D high is near end stick. So you might say, near the end of my stick, I don't want it to change things so much. So if you quickly bang the stick and go all the way to the end of your stick, you want it to get to that full flip feeling really quickly. Then as you pull it back into center, you kind of want it to smooth the end of your flip and clean that up a little bit. Then you could run more D low and little D high. But if you're using P low or P high, you should also use I low and I high, because they just don't make sense not to have any of those together. It just doesn't make sense. But if your P high is set to 100, then you might as well set I high to 100, because your your fake error, this right here, the RC command error, it'll be 0 every time once you do a full stick move. And if that's 0, then your I term high does nothing and has no effect. But anyways, yeah, so all this code is just to change your stick feel. And my idea is that, you can have the D term to get rid of those sharp movements. You can kind of calm them down. The I term to kind of get you there, but not as instantaneously. Kind of a maybe you'd call it a lagged feel, but then if you do set your P term above 100, it would be not a lagged feel. It would be bringing you back to your actual rate. And I'm not sure how well all these will go together or what you will think of it. After hearing my ideas here, you might have some ideas of your own, or you might know of ways that I've done this wrong, or you might even look at my code and show me ways that I've done it wrong, or you might have a simpler idea that could accomplish this same thing. But yeah, this is where I'm at right now, and I think that if I could get this, if we can test this, get something like this or something similar to work, that this could be a really, really powerful tool for stick feel. You know, you want to fly really cinematic, so you get this D low and D high and you bump it up fairly high. And then you take your P term low, set it a bit lower, and your I term low, set that to a kind of low value, and you could get a really smooth craft, you know? And the thing that I like about all this code is it doesn't actually change your rates. So if you move your stick to, you know, full deflection, eventually you'll always spin at that rate. You know, this might slow it down or speed up you getting there, but in the end you will be at that rate. Or you move your stick 10%, whatever your rates are at that point, it'll eventually get there. So it's not really ever changing your actual rate feel, but it's just changing your stick feel. Because I know some people, I've heard online, some people are like, oh, you must, you know, you say you don't like feed forward. What you actually don't like is your rates, because if you liked your rates, then you would like feed forward because it makes you follow your rates better, and blah, blah, blah. I've heard stuff like that before. However, I know plenty of pilots that have heard that and they've went, okay, I'll try feed forward. I don't like the way it feels. I'll start messing with my rates, and they just never quite get something that they like. And they just prefer the feeling with their current rates, yet no feed forward. Because it is a different feel. And that's, I guess, kind of what I'm trying to get with this code, is you'll, you know, hopefully be able to get something, you know, to where you can really fine-tune and tweak your stick feel. You know, you want cinematic, you can really push this into a really cinematic, or you want a sharper, more aggressive stick feel, you can get that. But yeah, I'm not sure if the P low, P high, I low, I high, D low, D high, if that's really the way to go. I just took a bit of inspiration from the current angle mode code, if any of you know much about that. But, you know, this is really, yeah, I really think this could go somewhere, so I really do want all of your input. And thanks, everyone. If you watched the whole thing, you know, thanks for that. Let me know what you think, and have a good one.